So what we're trying to do here is salvage lodgepole pine that was at risk of infestation by mountain pine beetle. We had very light levels of pine beetle infestation here, and so the goal was to try and get the susceptible trees out before the pine beetle reduced the quality of the trees to where we couldn't make our product out of it. So if you look kind of around in here, a lot of streams, a lot of wet areas, and what we've done is try to retain the understory non-pine species in the drainages to try and mitigate the overall impact of the large clear cut, and provide for some visuals, some habitat along the riparian areas, which is the streams and wetlands, and try to break the opening up a little bit so it doesn't seem like a huge moonscape at the end of the day. Six kilometers off the Arowana Road, up the Randolph Road. We're in a cut block called Cutting Permit 170, Block 1. It's about 40 hectares in size. Looking at pine beetle salvage and I guess probably aggressive pine beetle salvage. Trying to get into the stand before the pine beetles get into it too far. Looking at this deck here, we've got I think about 4 spruce trees in there, and the rest is pine. Typically about 100 years old. You don't see a lot of blue stain in this, and the reason for that is that the pine beetles just got in this year, and so the tree hasn't had a chance to foster that fungus that turns them blue yet. Tree that's been infested by beetle probably 2 or 3 years ago, and you'll see the blue ring around the outside, and what that is a fungus that the adult beetle brings with it to the tree, brings the spores in on its legs. The fungus infests the trees, grows on the cambium and the sapwood, so where the tree is transporting water up and down. And the beetle will then lay its eggs. The larva will eat that fungus, particularly in between the bark and the hardwood, the sapwood, and eventually girdle the tree. So it's a combination of the of the fungus and the larval feeding that eventually kills the tree. The beetle itself doesn't kill it, but the subsequent actions of it and the larvae do. So one of the challenging things we've got to deal with in an area like this, where we've got 100-year-old stand that's just ready to harvest, is that a lot of the sites either are too dry or overly dense in order to produce a merchantable piece of wood. So if you look at this piece, we've got about a 4-inch diameter stem, which clearly you can't make any lumber out of. And if you look down through here, you see that same kind of stem dominates this stand. So 4 to 6 inches in diameter. Okay for post and rail, not so good for making 1x4 and 1x6 out of. The one thing that is nice about this is the beetle doesn't prefer to go into these small diameter stems. So what we've done is we've tried to bait the larger diameter stems, keep the beetles in those bigger diameter stands, and try and keep them out of this. And hopefully it'll grow, and it'll be a merchantable stand in 10 to 20 years, providing the beetle pressures don't overwhelm it and infest this. Beetles will infest this if the beetle population is high enough, and so far we haven't seen that in this area. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens with this.
Okay,